All right, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you live to episode number 12 of the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series, a byproduct of our podcast, our original podcast, the Primetime Rundown, right here on the Eastern Observer and the Blackjack Media Networks. I'm Joey Jarzynka. We are joined by Baltimore Orioles prospect and former St. John's Red Storm left-handed pitcher Kevin Magee. Kevin, I do apologize, and I said this to you just about 10 seconds ago for pulling you in on a gorgeous, gorgeous Thursday evening. And it's been a long time since we've had great weather.
Yeah, no, it's all right. I mean, I took advantage of the weather this morning, but yeah, the weather's been pretty crazy here in New Jersey, past couple weeks, but it is what it is.
Exactly, man. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on here this evening, Thursday evening, May 14th, for those that are getting their days and dates mixed up, because I didn't even remember that today was Thursday until I got a calendar reminder. But Kevin, thank you so much for joining me here on the Zoom interview series. Really, really appreciate it. And you being person number 12 on here is really an amazing thing. We've gotten through 12 episodes, and you're lucky number 12. So really, really good stuff.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. So as Kevin did say, he is in New Jersey. I'm here on Long Island. And how are you and the family doing during this quarantine right now, Kevin?
We're hanging in there. So right now it's just myself and then my parents. I have an older sister, but she had moved out, so she's on her own. But everything's been going fine. My dad's retired and my mom's a teacher, so she does like the Zoom meetings and like the classroom meetings from home. So she's a little stressed with that, but it's going all right.
I can't even imagine. Yeah, no, I hear all the time. A few cousins of mine, yeah, Zoom this, Zoom that, and then the preparation is apparently crazy, and you have to deal with the parents, you have to deal with the kids, and sometimes they're not there, they don't listen. It's crazy, crazy stuff. But for those that do not know, Pompton Lakes is your hometown in New Jersey. And basically this interview is to get to know who Kevin Magee really is. So we'll start off with one quick, broad generalization of who you are, Kevin. You are a left-handed pitcher in the Baltimore Orioles system, and your alma mater is St. John's in Queens, and coincidentally mine as well. So we ran into each other at the 2018 Big East tournament in Prasco Park in Cincinnati. Really, really fun time. I know for you guys, obviously winning the tournament. And,
yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was a ton of fun, and running to get the Chick-fil-A sandwiches for free, which was fantastic.
That was the most important part of the whole thing.
Yeah, that was the best, and everything there was free. That was the best thing too. So now our introduction is complete. Now, Kevin Magee, tell us a little bit about yourself and how baseball has, tell us how baseball has made you the Kevin Magee of today.
Yeah, I mean, so, Pompton Lakes is a small town in northern New Jersey. It's like a little bit bigger than 1 square mile. So like my graduating class in high school was 150 kids. So
wow, really?
Really small town. Growing up, I played like soccer, football, baseball, like, the whole thing, basketball a little bit. But baseball really stuck with me, and then just kept developing on that. And then obviously, went to St. John's, played there. And then I was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Orioles in 2018. So, baseball has been pretty much, my entire life for the past, I don't know, 18 years now. So, can't complain at all.
It's crazy stuff, because you think of, what you went to college for, which was for Homeland Security. And I was reading a few articles on you, and the best part was that you had, quote, 11 Division I offers, and 11 Division I offers, quote, and this was northjersey.com, and you had said, we had spoken about this off camera, where they misquoted you, but I'll say what the exact quote is, and then you can, fill in the errors. Quote, "I didn't have any Division I college offers out of high school," Mcgee admitted. End quote, beginning quote, "St. John's came calling and gave me my only real opportunity, but I was basically a walk-on my freshman year of college. I had to earn my way onto the team and prove myself. I was always taught to be humble, which I could see you are. And I also saw that, I remember, in Cincinnati as well, when you were holding that trophy. It's who I am. I learned so much about the game of baseball growing up in Pompton Lake's Little League system, and even more for Pompton Lakes High School and Coach Paul Tanis, end quote, from NorthJersey.com. So tell me the error that they had made, where you said it was 11 Division I offers that you were.
Yeah, so I'm not sure where the error came in. Obviously, I remember speaking to the reporter, super awesome guy, and then all the papers in New Jersey do a great job.
Yeah.
But I remember I had stated that I had the Division I offers, but I think it got lost somewhere in there. But
Yeah.
so, the way it worked out is I ended up having 11 Division I offers, but St. John's had offered me a preferred walk-on spot, so no scholarship money. Luckily I had academic money at the time, so that was technically my scholarship. But out of all my offers, St. John's was by far the worst. But my goal was to try to go somewhere where I could get drafted, and my parents supported me. So, it ended up working out in the end.
Yeah, I was going to say, because really, and I remember when you said that to me, and you said that St. John's was the worst offer. And I'm thinking to myself, well, then you know what? Then that's pretty good, because, you have a head coach in Ed Blankmeyer who has amazing ties to Major League Baseball. And he's
Right.
obviously in minor league baseball now, which we'll get to later on in the show. But now that we've got that under wraps, and St. John's being the quote unquote worst offer for the Johnnies that are watching, that's, that it really is the truth, I guess. You have a background where your baseball career has gotten you a nice little paycheck as a speed coach, as a pitching instructor, Academia Incorporated coach since September of 2018. So tell us a little bit about your time there, in the aforementioned three places where you've used your baseball knowledge to help others.
Yeah, so after I got drafted, and even during a little bit my junior senior year of college, I started doing pitching lessons for the one company. It's called Players Edge. It's in Wayne, New Jersey. So I just do pitching lessons over there. I have a clientele ages from like 8 to 18. And it's fun. We go over like mechanics, the mental game, how to get better on the field, off the field, things like that. Just developmental stuff. The funny part is, so the other company where I was a speed coach, it's a company called Parisi Speed School. They're pretty well known in the Northeast. I got hired there because of my baseball athletic background, and I ended up being a speed coach for club soccer teams.
Wow.
Yeah, so nothing to do with baseball at all. And I'm not even the fastest guy, like, at all. I mean, obviously I'm a pitcher, so we're barely athletes, but
No, don't say that, man. I mean, hey, listen, I'll tell you this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but a lot of people do say that, and I think that is the biggest crock, honestly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I ended up I learned the program over there. I got some good training, and then I taught how to be, quicker, more how to accelerate quicker, things like that. And then I was also a strength and conditioning coach for the Bergen Barracudas, which is like a club swim team. So two sports
Wow.
two sports that have nothing to do with baseball. I was coaching.
Yeah, and all because of your athletic ability. That's what it comes down to. Really, really good stuff. So now your time, or I guess rewinding a little bit, and the last few episodes of the Zoom interview series, I've used the Last Dance reference, where you go all the way from 98 and go all the way back to 1984. So we're gonna go from where you were at St. John's, and then we're gonna go right back to Pompton Lake. So when you were at Pompton Lakes High School, you served as a team captain your senior year. You were a third-team All-State honoree and the Records Pitcher of the Year as a senior. Additionally, a three-time first-team All-Colonial Division honoree. You also helped your squad win back-to-back Passaic County championships, 2013, 2014, and back-to-back North 1 Group 1 state sectional titles in 2012 and 13, respectively. Talk about your time there and having a lot of success at your high school level.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny because obviously, it's really small town, really small high school. Then the entire school is about 600 kids. But in my time playing for Coach Tanis at the time, he had just retired. We ended up having quite a good bit of talent. It was myself, obviously, Division I commit to St. John's. Our other starting pitcher, Mike Koss, he committed to Marist, another Division I program.
Yeah.
Our third baseman slash shortstop played Division I think in Southern Illinois. And then we had a catcher that went Division I for at George Washington University. And then our
Wow.
and then our last pitcher who played a couple of years at Fairfield College, which is also Division I. So in my time there, we had for a small town, we had a lot of talent, and it was a good time. We had obviously solid coaching, good pitching staff. All around it was just good team chemistry. It made the game a lot of fun.
Say one Big East school from you to two MAC schools, and I believe George Washington in the A10. So really, really good stuff. From Pompton Lakes, where you said that the most I think you said that the capacity of that school was like 600, or the maximum that you guys had in the entire school was 600, and your graduating class was 150.
Yeah, I think like the exact numbers I'm not sure. I think we had graduated like 152 in my class.
Wow.
And yeah, we just for some reason, I don't know what it is. We do a good job with baseball the program. Being a small town, we take a lot of pride in that. So our coaching staff really did a good job when I was there, getting everybody ready, making sure everybody stayed healthy. And they all obviously help a lot with getting seen through college recruiting.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially because of the aforementioned stats that I brought up earlier. Just to reiterate, you were a pitcher of the year as a senior. You were team captain as a senior. You had those two back-to-back championships in Passaic County, and then you had those sectional titles just 2012, 2013. Really fascinating stuff from Kevin Magee. Right here. So in your 3 full years as or on the boys varsity level, you went 27-4. 27-4, ladies and gentlemen. You only had 4 losses, 1.26 ERA, 289 strikeouts in 182 and a third innings pitched. You can't say that without wowing. And when you made the switch from, or not even the switch, when you graduated from high school and moved over to the NCAA level, not only just any random program, but a storied program such as St. John's, with head coach Ed Blankmeyer at the helm, coaching you, Kevin Magee. Did you think it would be possible?
I mean, it was kind of a long shot. So, I mentioned that I had the 11 Division I offers, but the reason that St. John's wasn't too big on me at the time was I didn't really throw that hard. I mean, when I committed to St. John's, I was only throwing 79 to 82,
Right.
which is, that wouldn't fly at the Division I level. But they liked me because I was able to put pitches where I want. So I think they saw me as a
Mm-hmm.
developmental player.
Yes, sir.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, exactly. So, and obviously, I had better offers, but I knew, with Coach Blankmeyer and then Coach Mascara, the pitching coach at the time, I knew that, they were the top tier. I mean, Coach Blankmeyer's in the College Baseball Hall of Fame. And he probably taught me more about how to be, a young adult off the field than even on the field. And even to this day, I probably get a text from him once every couple of weeks, just checking in. Um, so I knew when I committed, it was going to be hard, and I really had to prove myself. But luckily, after my freshman fall, I broke the starting rotation as the Sunday guy, and that was all she wrote.
The rest is history, as they say. Really, really good stuff, because we'll get to the 2018 season later on, and we all know how that ended. And I actually have the score sheet from when you pitched, and the in my scorebook, it's phenomenal stuff in your last Big East, last Big East outing
Thank
of
you.
your college career. Really, really good stuff. So your success at the high school level. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, as what you've said thus far, but I'll still ask it anyway. Who do you attribute your success to early on?
So early on, it definitely without a doubt my parents. And then I had a pitching coach growing up as well. His name's Keith Stamler. He ended up making it to AAA with the Rangers. Got released, so he became a pitching coach. But definitely my parents. They, looking back at it, they really sacrificed a lot to give me the opportunities that I had. So I kind of contribute, my hard work now to kind of repaying the sacrifice that they gave me. Because my dad would come home from his 9 to 5 job and eat a quick dinner, then drive me 45 minutes to pitching lessons, stay there for an hour, drive me 45 minutes home. So they sacrificed a lot, obviously with the travel and everything too. So it was definitely my parents that really believed in me from a young age. They always told me, someone's got to do it, because I had always said, hey, I want to play on TV someday, and they're like, well, someone's got to do it.
That's
So
true. Yeah. And not only that, but you were also able to have that, because not a lot of people are, exactly what you said, come home from 9 to 5 job. Normally it's dinner time and all right, well, forget it. But yeah, there was something there. And he saw that you had the capability of becoming a professional pitcher in Major League Baseball. You're on your way there, Kevin. Really, really good stuff.
thank
Yeah, of course. And from what we've seen so far, your time with Aberdeen, we'll get to those numbers in just a few moments. But again, as we're trying to stay in chronological order, but we're doing the best we can. Now, your time at St. John's. This is where we're going to start. So, your major was Homeland Security. So, additionally, your goal, or you were about to, or you were putting in an application to work for CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, following your time at St. John's. And just before the phone rang for you was Scout Dana Duquette, who, by the way, for those that are not or that are watching and are New York Professional Scout Association members, Dana Duquette is one of ours and a Baltimore Orioles scout. So walk us through what you were originally going to do following your time in Queens.
Yeah, so I graduated with a degree in Homeland Security, and during my senior year, my senior season, I was actually going through the hiring process for Customs and Border Patrol, and so I would actually, Coach Blankmeyer would let me leave practice so I could go do a physical here, a fitness test here. He let me leave one time. I had a 6-hour written test for CBP.
Wow.
And he was
6
like,
hours. Oof.
yeah. So, I did okay. But he had no problem. He's like, look, I understand there's life outside of baseball. So, I ended up getting hired by CBP, prior to graduating. And then when I got home and the draft was coming up, and I was looking on usajobs.gov. That's where all the Homeland Security stuff is posted. And there was an application for Immigration and Customs Enforcement for their Homeland Security Investigations Department. And that was my dream job. There's a couple professors at St. John's that really turned me on to that. So I'm like, finally, the application's open. I'm going to apply. Hopefully I do well. So about halfway through the application, I'm just typing on the laptop, and we have the iPad set up, which was watching the draft. And it was a little delayed because our Wi-Fi here is like not the best. But so I'm filling out the application, and all of a sudden I get a text from my buddy that says congrats, and I'm like, what is he talking about? And then a bunch of people start saying congrats, oh my god. And then it finally popped up on the iPad that I was drafted. So instinct, I just immediately closed the laptop, didn't finish the application for Homeland Security investigations, and then just celebrated with my parents for a little bit.
That's crazy. You see, things really happen in mysterious ways, because all of a sudden you're filling out a job application, and then all of a sudden you get this alert where, your name pops up. And your name pops up, and you got drafted in the 9th round of the 2018 Major League Baseball draft by the Baltimore Orioles. And currently, you've played in the Gulf Coast League with the Orioles, and then now in the New York Penn League with the Aberdeen Ironbirds. Amazing stuff. And I want to, you know what? forget chronological order for right now. I want to know your time. Yeah, because you know what? Screw it. I want to know your time with Aberdeen and just in general, your overall thoughts of becoming a professional pitcher. How is it different from college?
So the only thing that's really different about baseball, the higher up you get, and I tell this to my clients too, the only thing that changes is the speed of the game. So, guys throw a little bit harder, they run a little bit faster, they hit a little bit further, but it's still the same game. And luckily, Coach Blankmeyer, he tells us every year, my goal is to get you guys drafted or put you in the best position to get drafted.
I
So
think you did a good job there.
exactly. So, I mean, if you noticed, he tries to bulk up our schedules quite a bit. So we play the top tier teams. And it's because of that I think I was pretty prepared when I did go to Aberdeen. So the change of the pace of the game was a little bit higher, but the preparation was definitely there. Thanks to the coaching staff and, the discipline they instilled in us and, all of those things. But Aberdeen was an absolute blast. The Orioles organization is a lot of fun. Obviously, the big league team's struggling a little bit, but I'll tell you what, we have some absolute studs in the farm system right now, and we got a pretty solid new front office. I think the Orioles are going to be looking pretty good in the next couple of years.
Yeah, Brandon Hyde being the leader. You still have, Chris Davis. Yeah, you have a whole bunch of guys. I think now they just signed Jose Iglesias. Unfortunately, Trey Mancini has an unfortunate battle with colon cancer, stage 3, I believe. Have you ever met any of the big league guys? Have you been able to speak to them? Because I know obviously spring training is not there yet for you, but have you got to speak with any of them or?
So with the Orioles, we have two separate facilities because we don't have the space for everyone. So our big league camp is at Ed Smith Stadium, and then the minor league camp is at a place called Twin Lakes. So we have the big leaguers and the minor leagers are separate. But
Okay.
luckily enough, I was able to keep. I met a couple of guys. The one catcher, Austin Wins, he caught one of my pens and then I threw a live BP. But we see the big league guys walking around all the time, and you would never know. They're the most humble guys in the world. They carry themselves very well. They're very professional, but they also like to have a good time. But yeah, the big league guys, they definitely know what they're doing, and they're where they are for a certain reason.
Now back to your time at St. John's, as we were talking about. I'm assuming you're watching The Last Dance, which everyone is. I think. Are you, or maybe not?
I'm not caught up.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So I won't be giving any secrets away. But all the way from episode 1 to 8, you see, going back and forth. So we'll go back to your time at St. John's. So I want to know your time in Cincinnati. We were just talking about your final Big East Conference game against Butler in that 12-8 victory to advance the team to the finals on semifinal Thursday. Yeah, semifinals Thursday, I believe, or was it Friday? Yeah, it was Friday because we had Saturday off and then Sunday that doubleheader against Seton Hall. That was your last time pitching against your conference opponent. Tell me how that felt, and not only that, but technically you went out on top.
Yeah, so to be completely honest, I don't remember too much because I just remember I was more focused on like the next pitch, as a lot of pitchers say, as opposed to like where we were, who we were playing. So all I remember is before the game, my shoulder was bugging me a little bit, and my coach was like, screw it, it's your last Big East outing, so just go out and have a good time. So I remember I took like 4 Advil, and I ended up, pitching as good as I could until the shoulder finally, ran out of gas. But, obviously solid win. I do remember, I think I gave up an absolute shot somewhere over in right field, but that's the only thing I really remember.
I have to see. We have where it was here, where Kev, you pitched 5 1/3 innings. You gave up 2 runs, 2 earned. You had 9 strikeouts that time. You finished with a 2.48 ERA. Then Joe Kelly came in, Turner French, Gavin Hollowell. What a time! What a time there. And I don't mean to make it about me, but in all seriousness though, yeah. So your shoulder was bugging you a little bit, but then as you said before, it's the next pitch, it's the next game, and on top of it, the trophy's on the line.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we were all like on the same page that it's going to be our last time here. Obviously, for all the seniors, it meant a lot because we had a really nice core group. We had seen success before when we were younger at St. John's. We were so close our junior year and just couldn't get the final game. But so we knew we had to give it everything we had. And I'll tell you what, the pitchers that came out of the bullpen for us, I think those are the true heroes of the tournament because, obviously you had like myself and then Jeff Belge against Seton Hall.
Oh man,
ridiculous. But our bullpen really held it together. And the key for us was keeping it as loose as we could. So we would joke around the entire game. We kind of took the idea that the less we focused on baseball, the better we would perform. So, before the game, usually a pitcher will be wearing his headphones, listening to whatever music he needs to get in the zone. And for me, I remember I was just shagging BP in the outfield, hanging out with the guys. And that's what really did it for me is to get myself focused was to not focus as much, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure. And excuse me, to not focus as much. Now, with the scenery being different from where you've experienced the previous 3 seasons where it was in Omaha, home of Creighton University at TD Ameritrade Park, the differences or similarities, or better or worse, if you will, for facility, for the time of the year, or even plane ride. Talk about the differences from Omaha to Cincinnati, or Mason, Ohio, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Omaha is spectacular, and Prasco really took me by surprise because when we first heard about it, nobody had known anything about Prasco, and then we got there and we're like, this is the real deal. The really big difference was TD Ameritrade seats a lot more people, so you might have 8,000 people in the stands, but it only feels like a couple hundred. Whereas at Prasco, if you had a couple hundred people, it felt like 20,000.
Right.
That was the main difference. And then obviously everything was free, which was incredible. We felt really weird. They handed us like the Gatorade squirt bottles, and
yes,
we tried giving them back, and they're like, no, keep them. And we're like, I guess, thank you.
yeah.
And then obviously the Chick-fil-A. I mean, you couldn't beat that. What are you gonna do?
or the platters of food that they would just give, continuously give, and
it was incredible.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
So that's good because I honestly have never been to Creighton University and to Omaha, so I don't know that. That was not only a question for the viewers but also for me as well, because everyone has always said, actually, a former teammate of yours, Alex Katz, who I know as well. And I remember I had asked him, he's actually going to be on this show in a few weeks. But I remember I had asked him the first time I met him about a couple of years ago, and I said, what's the deal with Omaha? Why does everyone keep saying you got to go to Omaha? You got to go to Omaha. And not only for basketball, but for baseball. Not only because Creighton is so good at baseball, but also because of the ballpark. And that's really what I was looking for, because I really didn't believe it, because you're thinking, Kevin, well, you're going to Omaha. What is in Omaha?
Well, so Omaha is a lot of nothing until you get to this certain part, and then you look up and you see the stadium, and it truly is incredible. It's I'm not sure how many it seats, but it's something else. The facilities are obviously top notch. They maintain the field like nothing you've ever seen before. Every blade of grass is perfectly trimmed. The bullpens are stellar. Even like everything down to the music is timed perfectly for the walkouts and everything. It's really, they do an incredible job. But it was a little weird because we would, after the game, we'd say, hey, how many people were here? And they'd be like, oh, there was 8,000 fans here. But because there's so many stands, you really didn't recognize it. Yeah. So it really made it feel like there was a couple hundred, which was fine because the less people to pitch in front of, makes it a little bit easier. But yeah, you definitely have to experience it. It is incredible.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to get there one of these days. That would definitely be tons of fun, both for basketball and for baseball. Now, just a few weeks after, or actually, I believe it was a few days after, or just the following, I think it was the following 3 or 4 days after Memorial Day weekend. Once we had come back, and your team had gone to South Carolina for the NCAA regional tournament, and you got the final win of that season and the final win of your collegiate career against Morehead State, 11-5. You got your personal win, and you also got a team win as well. Now, you say earlier that you're focusing on the next pitch, you're focusing on whatever. Now, with this one though, did you think that it was over?
I remember the game. We had a lot of confidence going in because the year prior was almost the identical regional bracket where it was ourselves, Clemson, Vanderbilt, and then this year was Morehead State. Whereas in my junior season, I think it was UNCG who I had lost to. So Coach Blankmeyer's like, "Hey, you're getting the ball against Morehead State." And then we obviously did our scouting report, and I'm pretty sure Morehead State, they had one guy that got drafted in like the top 3 rounds. So they were like, "Hey, whatever you do, just don't give this guy anything to hit." And I remember, I think the first time he hit it against me, like I think it was like a fly out to the warning track, and I was like, "Oh my god, this guy can swing it." But so believe it or not, a little inside story here. I felt great in the game, and then I think my last inning, I think it was like my 5th inning, I kind of fell apart a little bit. And Coach Blankmeyer came out to the mound, and I expected him to be like, "Hey, good job. We're gonna bring somebody else in to clean it up." And he absolutely ripped me apart. He was like, "How can you have so much confidence in this game and then all of a sudden you shit the bed?" Excuse my language.
Nah, you're good, man.
And ripping me apart. And I remember I got so fumed. I walked up the mound. I threw my glove. My teammates had to calm me down. And then after that inning, Coach Blankmeyer came up to me and hugged me. He's like, I'm just trying to support you." I was like, "I know. I literally just ran out of gas." But that's what I remember most. And then what was the final score? I think it was like, what was the
It was
final
11-5. 11-5 was the final.
11-5. So I remember the offense came alive in that game. So it's a lot easier to pitch when you have a lead, obviously. So it was a great experience, and I finally got my win in a regional game, whereas the year prior I'd gotten the loss. So it was nice to get that win.
Now, and I know to keep going back to the college time, it's whatever, but now following the Clemson game, you guys lost. It was the final game of many, many careers. Yourself, Luke Stamfel, John Valenti, so many other guys that I can't even name. Jamie Gallazin, I believe, as well. Just amazing players that I've mentioned, and including yourself too. 9-8 was the final score, and you were one run away from tying it. Now, at that point, you a part of the team, Kevin, does it sink in right away that you may not get drafted, you may never play a game of competitive baseball again?
At that point, no. All I remember was I was in the dugout, and I think the last inning, we just needed the 1 run to tie it. And I think we had 2 flyouts to the warning track and then another flyout to like deep in the outfield. So I remember I just put my head down a little bit. I walked out. I think we shook hands with the other team. And my main focus, I was just trying to keep my composure, especially for the younger guys on the team, to just be like, "Hey, even though we lost, look at what we did. Being a Northeast team, not getting the opportunities as the Southern teams, and we were 1 run away from making a regional final." But I remember at that time, I was just trying to keep my composure. And then after Coach Blankmeyer had our final meeting, and then I saw Coach Brown, the pitching coach. Once we locked eyes, it was over. I just started bawling my eyes out, and it wasn't until after the game on the bus when I realized that might have been the last competitive baseball game I experienced.
Yeah, it's crazy because, when you spend 4 full years on campus and you spend it with these guys who you consider family, and now the possibility of not being drafted or not taking your talents to the next level, it all comes crashing down on you, especially when
Right.
you don't get the result, that you guys are craving. But that year, for those that do not know, Kevin, your strikeout to walk ratio was ranked 24th, 6.13 in the entire NCAA, and your 92 strikeouts is 10th on the St. John's single season record list. And boy, are there a lot of pitchers on that list that we can name that have gone on to have pretty successful careers in the major leagues. So as we said, Alex Katz, not in the major leagues yet. Frank Viola, Craig Hansen, a lot of good players, and you are on that list as well. So that's a phenomenal job. So now, following your time in college, and I think we're done there. So now let's stick to your time in Baltimore, or in the organization rather. So we figured out your experience in minor league baseball. Now, you've been with the team for, if I'm not mistaken, I think since 2018. So you've had, now this would have been the 2.5 year mark, you figure, because you had 2 full seasons, 2018, all of 2019. So that's 2 full years, and 2020 would have been all, I think, the third year, right? That sounds about right to you? Okay, cool. So with that being said, the coronavirus happens, and okay, you get the call that minor league camp, spring training, everything is canceled. What goes through your mind, Kevin?
So I think at the time we'd spent maybe 10 or 11 days down in Sarasota where a spring training facility is. And what happened was we showed up one morning. There's a sign on the door that says, "Hey, camp's closed for today." So us being, young adults in Florida, we're like, all right, let's go to the beach.
Yeah.
Go to the beach, and there's a million people at the beach. Then we're like, all right, I guess we'll go out, have a couple drinks, like whatever, what the guys are doing. And then we realize how serious the coronavirus is, and we're like, what are we doing? Um, we got a text that says, pack your bags. You guys are going to leave tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And that's when I realized, okay, this is pretty serious. So we packed it up, and then I drove. I finally decided to drive to spring training, and of course I had to drive all the way home. So it was, 24-hour ride home, but I had a lot of time to myself. So but that's when I realized it's pretty serious. We had originally thought it was going to be like a couple weeks type of thing, and then obviously here we are now. But it's just sticking with the grind, I guess, as they call it, for training and everything like that.
Right. So, and that was actually the next question, which is a perfect segue. Thank you, Kevin, for doing that, because my segues have been, in the negatives in terms of ranking. Now your workout regimen now with the Orioles and with Aberdeen, because you're home and you're inside right now. So, looking back and what we were talking about actually off camera, or I think it was actually earlier in the show. God, I'm losing it. In the beginning of the show, we were talking about the weather, and April was a rough month.
Yeah, I can believe
Obviously,
it.
right? Obviously, they say April showers bring May flowers, but that was a lot of showers. Now, how do you stay mentally up to date, or up to par mentally, if you will, when you can't go outside, or simply enough, you don't have the facilities, because not only are they closed, but also because you don't have the room in your house? What do you do, and what do the Orioles have you doing, in times like, excuse me, like a gorgeous day like today, or on a rainy day like the whole month of April?
So the Orioles have actually done an outstanding job as far as preparation. I think we're one of only maybe like 4 or 5 teams in all of Major League Baseball that we have regular Zoom meetings, either every other day. We have yoga sessions every Tuesday and Thursday through Zoom. We have mental health experts that we learn how to deal with adversity, discipline, things like that. So the Orioles have been really on top of everything. We get a survey every day of how our body's feeling, what we've been eating, what soreness we have, just so that the trainers can have some feedback. And then the strength coaches give us programs through this app that we have. So we have everything we need to succeed at home, and it's all thanks to the Orioles preparation. But the issue comes in, we have guys all over the country. So some guys, maybe like out in Arizona, have more access to facilities than guys like myself or other guys on the team from Long Island or, upstate New York. But for us, I kind of take a little bit of pride in being from the Northeast, because even though it was freezing in April, I still went outside to throw. If it was like 35 to 45 degrees, that's all we knew at St. John's. So it was just go out, wear your beanie, wear your sweatshirt, and throw as hard as you can. So now that the weather's getting warmer, I feel like it's built itself up to the point where I'm getting myself more prepared, if or slash when we do eventually have a season.
Yeah, and not only that, but also because you're going to be, or the aspiration or the end goal obviously is to play it at in Camden Yards. And when you eventually get to the big leagues, there could be times when in late March for opening day, you could be you could be pitching, I don't know, you could be the number 2 pitcher, you could be the number 3, or you could potentially be the 1, and you could be pitching opening day when it's 30 degrees and potentially snowing in Baltimore.
Right.
Unlike if you're, if you're playing for Miami, or you're playing for Houston or Texas Rangers or whoever it may be down south, where the snow. But who knows? Who knows now? It was just a few days ago, Kevin. I'm sure you saw it was snowing in May. So
Yeah.
who really knows?
Who would've thought?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so it's, one day it's 80 and then the next day it's 20. So who knows? So just to wrap that up here with Aberdeen, your time with them thus far, a combined 8-7 in win-loss column, and then your ERA in 2018 1.51, and then most recently in 2019 a 2.04 ERA. Really, really good stuff. Low numbers. Really like
Thank
that,
you.
Kevin. And then also your time in 2018 in the Gulf Coast League with the Orioles, 3.86 ERA, with two appearances, two in the third innings pitched, 1 earned run. That was a home run and a walk. So again, good stuff as you keep moving up the ladder. For those that do not know, Kevin Magee was one of 6 St. John's Red Storm to be taken in the 2018 draft. Michael Lopresti, round number 18, Pittsburgh Pirates. Second baseman Josh Shaw. In the 19th round, St. Louis Cardinals. Third baseman John Valenti in the 21st round. Outfielder Jamie Gallazin in the 22nd round, Chicago Cubs. And catcher Rob Baselli, round 37 for the Cincinnati Reds. And how fitting is that when Rob Baselli was suspended for that game in 2018, and he was drafted by the hometown Cincinnati Reds then.
I know.
Crazy stuff, man.
It's crazy. It's a lot of guys, everyone that got drafted that year definitely deserved it, more so than myself. I mean, if you look at a guy like John Valenti, it's nothing but hard work, discipline, going through adversity. He's probably the most humble guy I've ever met. And he's just one of the most talented players. Even guys like Lopresti, Shaw, Gals, and all of them is, everyone deserved to get drafted that year. That did get a look.
Now, so now we spoke about the quarantine. We spoke about how you're doing with that in terms of getting the instruction from Baltimore and from the minor league camp and your instructors and etc. But now I want to know your advice that you would give as a team leader that you are, for those that are just tuning in now. Pompton Lakes High School, 4-year letter winner Kevin Magee was a team captain in his senior year. And now I want to ask him the hard question of being that team leader. Kevin, what would you say to those that are battling with, thoughts about, well, we're not going to ever make it to the big leagues. We're not going to be able to do this because, well, we can't go outside, or we can't go to the park, we can't go to, we can't even have a little soft toss because, the parks are closed. What would be your advice and I would say, yeah, let's stick to advice to those young athletes and aspiring players, whether it be Major League Baseball or even any sport that's out there right now?
So for me, I try to find the positive in every situation. So I look at this current situation as a chance for athletes to grow and develop outside of the box. This is the perfect example of how to operate through adversity, where you kind of find out what person you are. Um, there's a lot less going on, so you could stay up later. You don't have as many responsibilities. Can you still find the discipline to wake up early? Especially in New Jersey or Long Island where it's cold, do you still have the discipline to wake up early, go for a run, be able to throw outside? If it's, soccer, you get kick outside, any sport. For me, the best advice I would give is find the positive in every situation and remember what you're working towards. Because a lot of times like this, you kind of forget um, what you're working towards and how hard you want to work for it. So for me, there's one quote that I always say in my head after I had watched this video about a guy named Inky Johnson, former Tennessee corner, and he had said to honor the sacrifices that others had made for you. So for me, all the sacrifices my parents had made, my family had made, just to get me to the point where I'm at now. I look at this opportunity to, well, okay, maybe I can't go outside to throw today. What can I do to make myself a better person? What can I do to make myself a better player? What can I do to make myself a better boyfriend, a better student, et cetera, et cetera? Um, that way I'm able to fill up my day. And then at the end of the day, I could look in the mirror and say, I did something positive today and I made myself productive.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, is to stay productive and to stay positive. It's very difficult, as we just said before. It's now with everything going on, you do what you can. So now that you brought up basically, the advice to some of those. Now, for not only myself, but for the viewers out there and for those that are the aspiring ball player or hockey player, whatever it may be, walk us through a day in the life of Kevin Magee during spring training.
So when we're at spring training, we're usually up around 5:45 to 6. Our typical day, we go in, we have our breakfast, then we have meetings. And then after that, we have a little bit of time to ourselves. So usually guys will play cards, something just in the clubhouse. Um, and then that day, like let's say for example, it's a bullpen day. We would go out, we would stretch for at least 45 minutes before we even thought about picking up a baseball. Then we would throw out to our liking. So someone like myself, I like to long toss. I feel like I get my arm loose that way. So we'd go stretch, then throw, long toss, and then we'd bring it in. Finally, throw a bullpen after probably about an hour and 15 minutes of preparation. Then after you throw your bullpen, you usually have some running, some agility work just to keep the legs loose. Then you go inside, have a quick snack, quick protein shake maybe, and then it's time for lift. So usually the days go pretty quick at spring training. If there's no games like early on spring training, we're usually done around 1:30 to 2 o'clock. We'll usually start around like 6:30 ish. When there are games, it usually starts around 6:30. You get home around 4:30.
So now that was actually the next question I was going to say, is now take us through a day in the life of Kevin Magee on game day.
Yeah, so game day during spring training is different than an actual game day. There's two completely different schedules. Whereas, let's say it's during the Aberdeen season, it's wake up at 11 a.m., report to the field at 2, game starts at 7, and then you eat dinner at 11 p.m., and then you go to bed at 2 a.m.
Woof. Wow, that's late, and to wake up at around 11. Okay. All right. That's not that
Not
bad.
terrible.
And the reason why I bring that up is because for those that were watching, I believe it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, we had Chicago Cubs hitting coach Anthony Iapoce on. We got a day in the life of what the major leaguers do, and it's very, very different from, and I'm not saying anything, with minor league, whatever, but it's a little different, and you wake up at 5:45, you go for a workout, you go for a run, or, you go into the cage early on, and there are certain guys that like certain things. Now, I kind of want to go back, and I'm actually going to throw you a little bit of a curveball, no pun intended here, with, some of the questions that I had sent to you before. But with that being said, now, with you now obviously speaking to you as the player, we spoke with the coach a few weeks ago. Now I want to get your thoughts from the player's perspective. And do you speak to your pitching coach or to your instructors? Do you kind of, listen to them, or do you have, and obviously you do, but the point that I'm trying to make is that how do you communicate with them, let's say on actual game day, like during Aberdeen season? Do they give you the ability to, let's say, okay, I'm going to do, what I feel is right? Do you take a lot of pointers, or do you know what you're doing? Like, you understand what I'm trying to get at? It's,
Yeah. So for me, I try to take as much information as I can. And luckily, I think all minor league baseball has this now. Everybody has a TrackMan system, or a Rapsodo. So, we know all the information on the teams that we're playing. So I'll go over like a scouting report for whoever we're playing. I'll have a little meeting with the pitching coach. Um, so for like last season, for example, is Coach Robbie Avalos. He's a New Yorker, like like yourself. Um, so he was my pitching coach, and it kind of varies by style. So his style is really similar to mine, where he keeps it super loose and super light. So, he'll be joking around before the game, which is exactly, he knows that's exactly what I need. And he's more of a hands off pitching coach during your pitching days. Um, and he's extremely hands on your off days. So, for example, while I'm pitching, he won't say, "Hey, you're doing this, you're doing that." He'll say, "Okay, like in this situation, make sure we try to get a ground ball to the side, or try to get ahead in the count." Then, after an outing, once we get all the data back, he is, strictly analytical. Like, hey, your spin rate on your slider is such and such, whereas on your curveball, it's this. So we have to make that vary. Or you're getting 20 inches of hop on your four seam fastball, where your two seam is getting vertical. There's a lot of analytics that go into it now. So um, the point I'm trying to make is each coach, as I've learned, is very different in a very positive way. So most of the time, coaches are pretty hands off during game day, but on your off days, they're very hands on. That's where the development comes in.
and that's both in spring training and during, let's say, Aberdeen season as well.
For during spring training, the games are a little bit different because they're obviously not real games. Um, so we'll do things like roll innings. Like if a guy's struggling, we'll say, "Hey, roll it." Then teams flip flop. So for myself, I try to take advantage of the spring training games to work on stuff that I need to develop. So, for example, my first spring training, I knew I needed to work on my changeup, and I think I had one outing where I threw 18 changeups and two fastballs. So it's more of development in spring training, whereas during the season, it's obviously you have to perform and then work your way up the ladder.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And obviously, as we said, the reason why we brought that up is because we did have Anthony Iapoce on, Chicago Cubs major league hitting coach, and we wanted to know what the difference was between spring training for a major leaguer as opposed to spring training for a minor leaguer, as well as a day in the life, and just to hear both sides of it. So really, really fun stuff. And now just a few generalized questions with a few more minutes to go here, Kevin. So summer's right around the corner. It finally feels like it today. Tomorrow we have a good day upcoming, which should be great. Hopefully you get, some more throwing done tomorrow. Now, we always have a little kid in us. Your favorite restaurant, your favorite ice cream flavor. Now that summer is right around the corner.
Uh, Definitely chocolate chip mint, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat from that because for some reason in New Jersey we say chocolate chip mint, but everywhere else it's mint chocolate chip. So
Yeah,
I don't
I
know,
was
but
gonna say that was a little different. Okay, so
yeah.
with the tally now, I believe that makes 2 mint chocolate chips. So that is pretty good. And I think there were a few others of Rocky Road and Cookie Dough and whatever. So good. So you are in the lead with that.
Oh, there we go.
Your
Okay.
category. That's pretty good. Now your favorite restaurant. If there's talks with a July 1st opening day for major leaguers. Now, I don't know how it is with minor league. We don't know yet. I'll get to that in a few moments. But if you are home by the time things start opening up in terms of restaurants, where is the first restaurant you want to go to?
There's this Tex-Mex grill in my area called Jose Tejas,
Okay.
and it is easily the best food I've ever eaten. Um, they have like the hot chips on the table, like ready to go. I get fajitas, but um, my favorite place to go like during the season is probably Chipotle.
Yeah, that's usually what every athlete says. Okay.
Yeah.
Now your time at home with your family. You were saying it's your parents. And obviously you're working on baseball development. That's just what a prospect does. And in your time when you're not working on baseball development, are there any home projects, Netflix series, Hulu, anything, any movies that you've wanted to catch up on maybe after graduation 2 years ago that went to the back burner once you got drafted?
Um, it's kind of different. So I got in a really bad habit where I was only able to fall asleep at night if I was watching The Office.
Oh.
So I've seen that show. I've seen that show probably like 20 times all the way through. So I've been using this time to get out of that habit. Um, but my parents they had just bought some new like outdoor chairs for the backyard, so been helping my dad build those. And then I've been actually binging the show Peaky Blinders on Netflix. My
Sounds
my
familiar.
roommate,
Yeah.
my roommate had said it was pretty good, so I've been crushing that lately.
Nice. That's really, really good stuff. So last question, and it is the boldest question of all. Do we see Kevin Magee back down in Sarasota or potentially Aberdeen in the next, I don't know, month?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there won't be any traveling minor league baseball, but there will be minor league baseball at the spring training facilities. And I'm gonna guess either late June or early July. That's my bet.
Okay. Well, I'm sure obviously you are itching to get back out there
Yeah.
onto the mound because that is simply who you are. You're a baseball fiend. And on top of it, hell, there's no more CBP for you. There's no more Customs and Border Patrol. There is now Baltimore Orioles pitching prospect Kevin Magee, as opposed to Special Agent Kevin Magee, and that has a pretty good sound to it, don't you think?
Bad. It's definitely not bad.
Yeah, there you go. But really, really good stuff, Kevin. I can't thank you enough for joining me here on this Thursday evening, 7 p.m. We've been on here for about an hour. Again, I do apologize for taking you out of such a
No,
gorgeous
I really
afternoon.
appreciate you having me on.
And
Taking the time
yeah,
for the interview. I appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for allowing it, and the Baltimore Orioles organization for allowing this as well. So before we do go, just a little bit of closing credits and some tidbits here for the Eastern Observer and the Blackjack Media Networks. Episode number 26 of the Primetime Rundown podcast tomorrow night, Friday, May 15th, tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m. Tune in tomorrow right here on the Eastern Observer. Episode number 13 of the Zoom interview series, Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series, begins or continues on Monday, episode number 13 with Jaden Daly, Daily Dose of Hoops. And that will be Monday at 6 p.m. Also, episode number 3 of the Essential Wrestling Podcast, that will be on Tuesday, May 19th, starting at 6 p.m. right here on the Eastern Observer. For one last time here, That's Kevin Magee. I'm Joey Jarzynka saying so long, and we'll see you all on Monday when we have Jaden Daly right here on the Primetime Rundown Zoom interview series. We'll see you next time.